You're on your phone at midnight. Swipe, scan, judge, repeat. Your bio is fine. Your photos don't scream model, but they're clean. You match with her, and she's exactly the kind of woman you'd actually be excited to meet. Conversation is easy. It's the rare kind where you don't have to force jokes or perform confidence like a circus trick. 3 days of solid back and forth. Then she suggests coffee. You suggest something simple: a walk, a park, something low pressure. 6 hours go by, then 12. Then the replies get thinner. Then you get the slow fade you've seen a dozen times, and you already know what happened. Most men know. The part nobody says out loud is that in modern dating, especially early stage dating, money isn't just money. It's a signal. It's shorthand. It's a proxy for stability, trajectory, lifestyle, and stress. When a woman discovers you're struggling financially, what she says publicly is polite. What she privately calculates as cold efficiency. Not because she's evil, not because she's shallow in some cartoon way, but because early dating is selection. It's filtering. And people filter fast when the market gives them endless options. Here's the distinction that changes everything. Being broke in a relationship and being broke while single are not the same reality. When you're already in her life, you're not a profile anymore. You're a person with history. She knows your character. She's felt your presence. She has memories, emotional investment, context. If you hit a rough patch, the financial struggle becomes our problem. It can feel like a temporary storm inside something established. But when you're single, when you're a possibility, a maybe, one candidate among 1,000 swipes, being broke isn't a challenge we'll face together. It's a risk with no upside yet. There's no bond to protect, no loyalty built, no shared story. Early on, money doesn't get interpreted as he's going through it. It gets interpreted as this could become my problem. And that's why so many men feel like they're invisible until they're established. Let's make this real. I'll call him Jake. 29, smart, funny, decent shape, not a poser, not a clown, not trying to buy attention with rented status. He's working 2 jobs because he's paying down debt and building a design business on the side. His life isn't lazy, it's heavy. He's taking responsibility. He's doing what men do when they're serious, working, planning, sacrificing. And he's not struggling to get dates because he's awkward. He's struggling because early dating turns into an interview the moment a woman tries to place you on a map. Stable or unstable, progressing or stuck, safe bet or uncertain bet. He'd match with women who seemed genuinely interested. The opening messages were warm, lots of questions, lots of laughter. Then came the casual question that isn't casual at all. So what do you do? He'd answer honestly, freelance design while working retail part-time as he grows his client base. And the shift was instant. You know the shift. Every man knows it. Replies shorten. Enthusiasm drops. The conversation loses oxygen. One woman said something like, "That's cool, very entrepreneurial," and disappeared. Another pivoted to, "Let's just be friends." Another suddenly had an ex trying again. Another got busy. Jake wasn't losing them because of his personality. He was losing them in the 2 seconds it took their brain to classify him as not established right now. Now, here's where most men take the wrong lesson. They make it a morality play. They turn it into anger, bitterness, or a worldview that poisons them. They start talking like women are a single hive mind, or like every choice women make is a personal attack. That's the trap. That's weakness disguised as insight. This isn't about fairness. It's not about whether anyone is good or bad. It's about understanding the rules of a system so you stop bleeding energy trying to win in ways that don't work. Dating markets run on incentives, information, and perception. If you don't understand what's being assessed, you'll spend your time defending yourself against invisible accusations. So let's talk about what's actually going on. When a woman evaluates a man she's already dating, she weighs his finances against a full file of evidence: his character, how he treats her, his consistency, his ambition, his social intelligence, his emotional stability, how he carries himself under pressure. But when she evaluates a broke man early, on apps, in a bar, in the first few conversations, she doesn't have that file. She has only signals. A handful of data points, and financially unstable is one of the loudest signals there is. Think of it like this. If you're choosing between job offers and one company can't tell you the salary or the benefits, you don't spend weeks interviewing out of pure hope. You filter, not because you're cruel, because you're practical. Options are abundant, time is limited, and risk is real. That's the mental model. It's selection logic, not cruelty. And that's why the most useful question is not, how do I convince her to stay? The useful question is, why am I chasing someone who needs a financial report before she's able to value me? Because here's the part men don't want to admit. If you're broke and you're desperate to be chosen, you turn yourself into a performer. And performers don't get respect. They get evaluated. Once you understand the hidden scorecard, you start seeing the three core calculations that happen in her head. Not in a villain way, in a fast, protective, self-interested way. The same way you make calculations too, in different areas. Comparison happens instantly. She's not evaluating you in isolation. She's evaluating you against alternatives. Men she's talked to, men in her orbit, men who message her, men she knows could take her out tonight. Modern dating gives people a constant sense of replacement, and whether or not she acts on it, the existence of options changes the psychology. So when she learns you're broke, she doesn't just see a good guy with low money. She sees a good guy who makes my life harder compared to the guy who doesn't. That's not romance. That's market logic. And once you understand you're in a competitive environment, you realize a brutal truth. Sometimes the smartest move is not competing for a woman who only considers you when you're already winning. Lifestyle and social friction matter. Even women who don't care about luxury still care about stress. They care about what dating you implies. Can you do normal activities without it being complicated? Can you handle emergencies? Will this become a pattern of limitation? Will she feel like she's dragging you into life or walking beside you? Also, like it or not, people live inside social ecosystems. Friends judge. Families ask questions. Couples compare. And if she feels she'll be constantly explaining your situation to her circle, she will anticipate friction. Many people avoid friction. It doesn't mean she's soulless. It means she's human. Timeline projection is constant. Even if she says she isn't looking for anything serious, her brain still runs scenarios. Holidays, travel, family events, living situations, long-term stability. People don't just date the present, they date the implied future. And if your financial situation looks like an open-ended struggle rather than a short-term chapter, many people won't sign up. Now watch how this changes behavior. When a woman senses you might be financially stretched, she may test without calling it a test. She suggests plans with a price tag. She watches your response. She notices hesitation. She listens for confidence versus apology. She listens for frame. And sometimes she starts mentioning other men, not directly, not like an obvious threat, but casually. A friend's boyfriend who planned a trip, a coworker who drives something expensive, a guy who took her to a certain place. A lot of men interpret that as random conversation. It's not always. Sometimes it's a subconscious comparison. Sometimes it's her checking whether you feel small. Because if you get reactive, defensive, or needy, it confirms the fear. Not only is he broke, but he can't carry himself while broke. And that's the key. Early dating isn't only about the money, it's about your relationship to your position. Most men fail here. They feel the shift. They panic. They overcompensate. They try to buy respect with money they don't have. They run up credit cards to keep up. They offer expensive dates to prove something. They start explaining their plan like a courtroom defense. And every one of those moves makes you look weaker, not stronger. Because weakness isn't having less. Weakness is acting like you need approval to breathe. So here's the mental shift that separates men who suffer from this and men who use it. Being broke is only a disqualifier if you're begging to be qualified. Let that land. Every successful man you admire started somewhere. Every strong life begins in a season where you have more ambition than assets. The difference between the broke man women dismiss and the broke man some women respect isn't the bank balance. It's the posture. It's whether he treats his current season as shameful or strategic. That doesn't mean you pretend. It doesn't mean you lie. It means you frame the truth correctly. Because framing is reality in early dating. Compare these two versions of the same facts. I'm working retail while I figure things out. I'm building my design business. Retail is the cash flow layer while I scale clients. Same situation, completely different energy. One sounds like drift, the other sounds like plan. But the biggest difference is how you say it. Not with bravado, not with arrogance, with the calm confidence of a man who is already in motion and doesn't need permission. Now, let's talk about what most men really want when they ask for a speech like this. They want a way to stop feeling powerless. Here's the truth. You can't control what women prefer. You can control your standards, your direction, your discipline, and your selection. And selection matters because dating is not only about being chosen, it's also about choosing correctly. If a woman disappears the moment she realizes you're not financially comfortable, she gave you information. Painful information, yes, but information. She told you, my interest is heavily dependent on lifestyle comfort right now. That doesn't make her a villain. It also doesn't make her your mission. If you're a man building from the ground up, the last thing you need is someone who treats you like a questionable investment. Because that dynamic infects you. It makes you anxious. It makes you perform. It makes you resentful. And resentment is poison. So instead of trying to outsmart it, use it. Use your situation as a filter. Here's what that looks like in practice. Real, specific, useful. 1. Stop leading with the fantasy version of your life. A lot of men create profiles that imply a lifestyle they don't actually live. They try to compete by faking status. That attracts the exact women who require status to stay interested. Then those men feel used or dismissed, but they set the trap themselves. If you're building, build honestly. You don't have to advertise struggle. You don't have to present yourself as a charity case, but don't sell a lifestyle you can't sustain. Because the moment your reality shows up, the story collapses. 2. Suggest dates that match your real life from day one. This is where men get smart. You set the tone early. Coffee, walks, museums on free days, A simple drink, a low-cost event, a bookstore, a casual market, a hike, a small local spot with character, not as an apology, as a preference. I like first dates simple. It tells me if we actually enjoy each other. That sentence is gold because it frames simplicity as discernment, not deficiency. If she reacts like you've offended her, you just saved yourself months of trying to impress someone who only respects spending. If she reacts well, you've found someone who values the experience, not the receipt. 3. Never apologize for having a plan. Apologizing is signaling that you agree you're not worthy yet. Don't do that. If the topic comes up, you own it calmly. I'm in a build season. My focus is scaling my work and staying disciplined. I still make time for a life, but I'm not living like a tourist. That communicates maturity. It communicates standards. You're not begging, you're informing. 4. Make progress visible without turning her into your manager. This is subtle. If you're building something, a woman can respect it when she sees it's real. Real means consistency, a schedule, goals, results. Not, I'm going to start a business someday. Not, I'm grinding while you waste nights. If she asks, you can share. I've been landing clients. I'm building my portfolio. I'm improving my process. It's growing. But do not turn dates into pitch meetings. Do not ask for constant validation. Do not narrate every hardship. That makes her your therapist, not your partner. And if she requires constant proof, constant reassurance, constant updates, understand what that is. It's not investment, it's auditing. You don't need an auditor, you need focus. 5. Build your social and personal value in ways money can't fake. This is where men get trapped. They think the only solution is money. Money helps, yes. But there are forms of value that create attraction even before the money arrives. Fitness, social confidence, emotional steadiness, competence, purpose, leadership, clean style, discipline, communication, humor, self-respect. If you're broke and you're out of shape, unorganized and bitter, you're asking the world to give you grace while you give nothing back. That's not unfair. That's reality. But if you're broke and sharp, fit, disciplined, progressing, calm, self-respecting, you become interesting, not to everyone, but to the right kind of person. Now let's address the piece that men whisper but don't say. The fear that women only love you for what you provide. That fear is real for a lot of men. But here's how you handle it without becoming cynical. Women are allowed to care about stability. Men are allowed to care about beauty, youth, femininity, loyalty, whatever matters to them. Everyone has preferences. The mature response is not rage. The mature response is strategy. Strategy is this: don't chase women who need a finished product if you're still building. Don't resent women for wanting stability. Just don't sign contracts you can't afford. Don't treat attention as love. Don't treat loneliness as a reason to accept bad deals. Don't make a relationship your primary purpose while your life foundation is still under construction. Now, this is where the speech gets sharper. A lot of men think being single is a failure. They treat singlehood like a waiting room before real life starts. That mindset destroys men. Singlehood can be a weapon if you use it correctly. It can be a season where you build so much internal strength that you become immune to outside evaluation. Because here's the reality. The man who learns to stand alone without collapsing becomes terrifyingly strong. Not in a violent way, in a calm way, in a disciplined way, in a you can't manipulate me with attention way. And that strength compounds when money eventually arrives. Compare two men. The man who became attractive only after money. The man who became attractive before money and then also gained money. The first man is haunted. He always wonders what's real. If the economy shifts, if the job goes, if the business dips, does the love dip too? The second man is grounded. He knows he can attract, lead, and stand on his own. Money becomes a tool, not a crutch. So if you're broke right now, here's the truth that can either crush you or free you. You're in the perfect season to build qualities that can't be purchased. And the women who only respond when the money shows up will reveal themselves later. You won't need to hate them. You'll just see the pattern clearly. Now, I'm going to give you the framework that helps men stop spiraling and start moving. The 4-part rule for men building from scratch 1. Reality. Accept where you are without drama. If you're broke, you're broke. No self-pity, no excuses, no hiding, just facts. 2. Responsibility. Own the cause in the next step. Maybe it's debt, maybe it's family, maybe it's a bad start, maybe it's your own choices. Whatever it is, the next step is on you. 3. Direction. Put your life on rails. A schedule, a plan, a skill stack, training, work, sleep, nutrition, budget, systems. Men don't rise on motivation, they rise on systems. 4. Selection. Choose relationships that match your season. If you're in a build season, don't date women who demand the finished lifestyle. That's like trying to race a supercar while you're still assembling the engine. Now let's return to the thing that started this. The slow fade after you suggested a simple date. What should you do in that moment? Not beg, not argue, not lash out, not send paragraphs. You keep your dignity. Sounds good. If you're still up for it, let me know. Then you go back to your life. And that's not a game. It's self-respect. Because the man who chases every maybe becomes a man with no center. And women can feel that. People can feel that. A man with a center is rare. Now, you wanted a speech, so let's talk directly to the male audience part. The part men need to hear without softness. If you're broke and you're trying to date your way into feeling valuable, you're building your self-worth on quicksand. Your job is not to convince strangers that you deserve love. Your job is to become the kind of man who doesn't need to convince anyone of anything, because his life proves his direction. That's not motivational nonsense. It's practical. When your finances are weak, your standards have to be strong. Otherwise, the world will negotiate you down to nothing. And here's the line most men never draw. You do not need to date while you're rebuilding. You can date, yes, you're allowed. But you don't need to turn it into a mission that drains you. A lot of men are not lonely because they lack women. They're lonely because they lack brotherhood, purpose, and progress. They're starving for meaning and trying to fill it with attention. Attention is not meaning. Meaning comes from building. Now back to Jake. Jake did something smart. He stopped taking rejection personally and started treating it as data. Not data about his worth, data about the type of woman he was attracting and the context he was presenting. He tightened his life, not to get women, but because he was tired of feeling unstable. He cut expenses. He built a routine. He sharpened his portfolio. He improved his health. He worked like a man who had decided he was done being the same person next year. And 2 years later, his business took off. Income stabilized. He quit retail. He started traveling for work. His dating life changed. But here's the part that matters. The women now interested in him weren't necessarily kinder or deeper than the ones who left earlier. They just saw him in a different context. Same man, different signal. That taught him the most important lesson of all. People respond to your perceived trajectory. And that lesson can either make you bitter or make you wise. Jake chose wise. He stopped chasing approval. He started choosing. And when he eventually got serious, it wasn't because he finally qualified. It was because a woman showed something rare. She respected the process, not just the outcome. She saw his discipline when it wasn't glamorous. She saw him tired, stressed, uncertain, still showing up. She didn't treat him like a risk to be managed. She treated him like a man in motion. That kind of woman exists, but she's not common, and she's not found by begging. She's found by being a man with standards and direction. Now let's talk about what standards actually means here, because a lot of men say it and don't live it. Standards mean you're willing to lose people who don't align. Standards mean you don't barter your self-respect for a chance. Standards mean you don't tolerate disrespect just because she's attractive. Standards mean you don't keep chasing someone who makes you feel like a contestant. And a lot of men need to hear this. If a woman is only interested when your life looks easy, she's not a partner. She's a consumer of outcomes. Again, that doesn't make her evil. It just means she's not who you build with. There's a difference between preference and partnership. Preference is what people want. Partnership is what people are willing to endure with you while you build. Your goal is not to shame preferences. Your goal is to be honest about what kind of relationship you're entering. Now, let's clean up the most common mistakes broke men make when they're dating. Mistake 1, trying to act rich. This attracts the wrong crowd and creates a lifestyle you can't sustain. It also makes you anxious. Anxiety leaks into everything: your tone, your posture, your texting, your decisions. Mistake 2, making money the center of conversation. Either you brag or you apologize or you explain. All three are weak. Keep it simple. Keep it calm. Move on. Mistake 3, accepting disrespect to keep her. If she's dismissive, if she's rude about your situation, if she talks down to you, walk away. A man who accepts disrespect for attention trains the world to disrespect him. Mistake 4, dating as a distraction from building. Dating can be fun, but if you're using it to escape your lack of progress, it will slowly destroy your progress. Mistake 5, confusing chemistry with compatibility. A woman can be attracted to you and still be a terrible fit for your season. Attraction doesn't pay bills. Attraction doesn't reduce stress. Attraction doesn't guarantee loyalty. Now, I'll give you a healthier, sharper way to hold this truth without becoming cynical. Some women will disqualify you quickly if you're broke. Some women will not. Your job is to stop trying to convert the first group and focus on becoming the man who recognizes the second group when she appears. But, and this is important, the second group is not a fantasy prize you sit around hoping to find. You earn that group by actually building. If you're broke and comfortable, broke and blaming, broke and stagnant, then yes, you're going to get filtered out. And it won't be tragic. It will be predictable. Being broke isn't the issue. Being broke with no plan is the issue. Being broke with no discipline is the issue. Being broke while demanding premium treatment is the issue. So if you're going to claim you're in a build season, you need evidence. You're gaining skills. You're training your body. You're managing your money. You're reducing chaos. You're showing progress. Progress is the antidote to shame. And once you're progressing, something strange happens. Even rejection becomes easier because you're not asking dating to validate you anymore. Your life is validating you. Now let's close with the final truth that frees men from the midnight spiral. The modern dating market will try to convince you that you are behind If you're not constantly chosen, that's a lie. Your value is not measured by how many people want you when they know nothing about you. Your value is measured by what you can build, what you can sustain, how you treat people, and how you carry yourself when life isn't flattering. If you're broke, single, and in motion, you're not failing. You're in the forge. And the forge is uncomfortable because it's where weak habits die. So stop apologizing for your current chapter. Stop explaining yourself to people who haven't earned a front row seat. Stop competing for attention like attention is love. Stop trying to win over someone who disappears the first time your life looks inconvenient. Build your income. Build your health. Build your social confidence. Build your skills. Build a routine that makes you proud. Become so solid that rejection feels like a minor weather event, not an identity crisis. And when the right woman shows up, someone who respects your direction, not just your outcomes, you'll recognize her because she won't make you perform. She won't treat you like a product. She won't demand proof every week that you're worthy. She'll meet you as a man, not as a lifestyle package. Until then, your default position isn't desperation, it's discipline. Stay single if you need to. Stay focused, stay honest, stay proud of the work. Let the people who want a finished product filter themselves out. Let them chase convenience. Let them chase optics. That's their choice. Your choice is different. You're building something real. And when you become undeniable, you won't be begging for access into someone's life. You'll be deciding who gets access into yours.